Let's get to the phones. Wichita, Kansas is where we're going to start out. Pamela is on the line there. Pamela, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, how are you?
I am living the dream, Pamela. What's up?
So I had a question for you. I graduated with an MBA in 2007. I worked about 2 years, and then I stopped to be a stay-at-home mom. I have been out of the workforce about 12 years, and my youngest is going back to school, so I thought that I would head to work. I have sent out so many resumes, and I haven't had a lot of luck with getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question was, I had applied earlier in the year to go to graduate school to be a physical therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and I got in, but I have 4 degrees, and I'm kind of hesitant to go back to school to get another degree.
Yeah.
When I've had a really hard time getting a job, so I wondered if you could.
Well, I feel like
give
we're
me
getting
some
things
advice
out.
about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Let's get the right perspective. The question is, do you want to be a physical therapist? Doesn't sound like to me you do. It feels like to me it's something. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is part of why you called me. So either you really want to be a physical therapist and you've got some really specific reasons why, or you just find it to be mildly interesting and you think, well, it's a good career and let me just apply and, oh gosh, they accepted me. Now what? And it's kind of like you get this whole thing backwards. Well, I'm having a hard time breaking back into the workforce after being out 12 years. It feels like everything's driving, we forget the caboose driving instead of the engine, which should be your heart. So the question is, do you really want to be a physical therapist?
I thought I did, but from your comment, I'm definitely more of the B scenario where I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
Having a hard time getting a job.
Yeah. Well, let's just stop. Let's stop all the, because I feel like you're just applying, and you're probably not using the proximity principle. You're not using the web of connections, which I'm going to teach on here. I want you to stay tuned, by the way. I want you to watch me a little bit later in the program. I'm going to teach this for you. I'm going to give you some advice now, but I want you to kind of stay with this and get some extra teaching. But it feels like to me, you're just kind of, well, I'm just playing the resume lottery like I just talked about to start the show. Is that true?
A little bit. I think so.
Okay. Here's my question. You've been out of the workforce for 12 years raising kiddos, which good on you, by the way. Okay. And despite what you may be thinking, you are not irrelevant. You have an MBA. Goodness gracious. You got 4 degrees. You are as impressive and as relevant as you were when you went home. You really are. Despite the gap. You still are a very talented woman. So let's just pause everything else and go over the 12 years you've been out of work. All those times when babies were down for naps and you were exhausted and you let your mind wander about what it might be like when all of them go back to school or whatever the situation is. You wondered about something. What did you wonder about? Say it.
I don't know.
No, you had some, even if it was a fleeting thought. What would you try tomorrow if you knew you couldn't fail? It was just like, whee, this is a fun professional adventure. What would you try that you always thought about? Maybe as a 17, 18-year-old girl. I don't know. But don't tell me you didn't wonder about, wonder about this. I wonder about that. Say something. What's on your heart right now?
Well, I used to enjoy, at my church, I really enjoyed planning events.
Okay.
Like I'd plan large, like women's.
How did it feel? How did it feel when you started out on the project? Okay, we got this event coming up. Pamela, we need you to help plan it. Were you excited? Did it make your heart skip a couple beats? Yeah. What was it like in the middle of it when you had all those details and all those contacts and you were up to your eyeballs? How did it feel then?
It could be stressful, but I always enjoyed the work.
Yeah. How did it feel when the event went well?
It felt good. I was usually sad it was over.
Yeah. Well, we got some really good clues right there, don't we, Pamela?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. Is event planning Because that could be a lot of different things. That could be wedding coordinating, that could be graduation events. And I know, we're in a COVID season, right? I understand all that. But eventually all those things are coming back. And on some level, they're going to come back fast. Do you know how many people are going to get married, I think, in 2021 that put off their weddings in 2020? I mean, it's going to be crazy how many weddings there are going to be. Your church is still going to do events eventually. There's going to be all kinds of things. Is that something that you would love to do, is plan and execute events?
I would enjoy that.
Yeah. So here's what we do. Let's do some clarify, verify in the days and weeks ahead. So let's get a hold of, this is using the proximity principle, which says in order to do what Pamela wants to do, she's got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. So you volunteer when events start working their way up again and happening. You start volunteering if you can, if you have to make some connections where you don't have them. But where you do have connections, let's get on the phone with somebody who's an event planner. You've got your city, local government, Parks and Rec, they all do events and things like that. So you've got, all kinds of organizations, private sector, public sector, faith sector. And if you want to get into the event game, you start talking to people that work in that. What are the positions that are available? And, you ask yourself, do I have the core talents that are necessary? Which would be organized, detail-oriented, project, you love project management, that kind of thing. Does that all sound about right for you?
Yes.
Yeah. So here's what we do. We start talking to people in this space, and you start looking for what jobs may be available. If not available now, you could always go get a day job, just, kind of get yourself back out there, but even then, like if you go get a day job, if you were doing some type of detail work, organizational work, project management work, you could go do that for somebody else and say, you know what, I'm taking this job because the live event stuff isn't where it needs to be. There aren't the right jobs there now, but I'm going to get myself back in and I'm going to be an admin assistant if I have to. And what am I doing? Just burnishing my resume, adding more stuff to it, getting my juices flowing again. And I'm looking all the time, got my head on a swivel looking for, an event planning company or party planning or, working at a conference center in your area, in Wichita, Kansas. They got a lot of event venues there, and so, what are the major event venues? Everything from concert halls to convention centers. So what I'm doing right now for you, Pamela, is I'm brainstorming for you to start looking in those places. What you've got to do is clarify and verify by talking to people that work in those spaces. Hey, do you know somebody that works over here? What's that like during a day? And when they describe it to you as if you were interviewing them for a college term paper, which you've done, Pamela, your head and heart, once the information goes in your head about what's involved, what's it like day to day, then your heart's going to verify or reject the idea. And then we rinse and repeat for other ideas. But instead of you just randomly applying for things, let's get real specific. Do you have a copy of my book, The Proximity Principle, Pamela?
No, I don't.
Okay. This is the deep dive on the right people in the right places. And I'm going to give it to you. So I want you to hang on the line. And Madison is going to give you whatever format you want, the ebook, the audio, or the hard copy, which, by the way, for the rest of you, you can get all three of those book formats for one price of $25 at kencoleman.com. And it is the manual on how to make connections and how to get opportunities. The right people plus the right places equals opportunity. When I'm around the right people, they point me and put me in the right places. When I'm in the right places, I connect with more of the right people. Folks, it's not as difficult as it seems to get where you want to go, but you got to be intentional to identify and then connect with the right people, to identify and show up in the right places. And that book walks you through the whole process.